What's going on, you guys? Welcome to Dev Diary, the first one for Distant Worlds 2. This was published a little while ago, so yeah, a little late to the party. But I wanted to kind of cover this because I saw the trailer for this game and it was just jaw dropping. This is going to be basically, yeah, this is going to override every other 4X strategy game that came pretty much before it. Except Birth of the Federation. That holds a special place. Welcome, dear reader, and thank you for your interest in Distant Worlds 2. This is the first of several developer diaries that will be releasing roughly every 2 weeks from now until release to cover different parts of Distant Worlds 2 in some additional detail. First, let me introduce who we are. As you may be aware, Distant Worlds 2 has a fairly small development team, though it has grown since Distant Worlds Universe. The two core team members are Elliot Gibbs, who is the one and only programmer, wow, and designer, wow, and Eric Ruttens, that's me, who is the producer and co-designer. There are many additional and crucial team members who we work with every week: a super tester, an expert XML data wrangler and tools developer, several incredibly creative and dedicated 3D, 2D, and UI artists who provide us with our models, characters, animations, effects, illustrations, interface elements, and concept art, and a very talented music composer. We also have been blessed to have an assistance of many dedicated and remarkably talented Distant Worlds volunteer testers and fans who have helped us in every very important ways throughout alpha and beta testing. Ooh, so they're in beta with their feedback and suggestions. Any acclaim should deservedly go to the whole team, as Distant Worlds 2 has been a real team effort. The initial diary will discuss a few of our key goals when we finish support on Distant Worlds Universe and deciding that making a new Distant Worlds game was that what we wanted to do. Alright, the precursor to Distant Worlds 2, Distant Worlds Universe, is a very successful sci-fi 4X strategy game. While we strongly influenced by many 4X and strategy games that came before it, also added some new innovations to the genre. Some of the main innovations were the seamless living galaxy feel of the game, the very flexible automation and advisor settings that allowed you to tailor the game to your preferred playstyle, and the remarkable depth which allowed you to dive into your preferred gameplay areas with significantly less abstraction than many games allow. The end result was a great deal of positive acclaim from players that focused on these innovations and the overall gameplay, while most of the negative feedback was related to the limitations of underlying engine, memory usage, performance, graphical quality, and interface scaling. Distant Worlds Universe was unfortunately built on a 32-bit Windows engine. Interesting. With some very real limitations of what could be done and many of the problem areas while maintaining adequate performance within the scope of an always active living galaxy. We were bumping up against these limits ourselves from initial release, and they became increasingly more difficult to deal with over time. Yeah, I can imagine. 32-bit, wow. By the time we released Distant Worlds Universe, we knew that any future games would need a new engine that would not only allow us to make Distant Worlds look better, but would also allow us to perform better and expand what we could do in terms of gameplay choices. Elliot spent a good deal of time researching this, and in fact, 1 year into the project, we even went through a pain of switching engines just to make sure we would be able to achieve all our engine-related goals. Distant Worlds 2 is now based on the Stride engine, fully 64-bit and 3D and a full dynamic scaling for all elements, including the interface. Basically meaning you're going to get a Google Maps kind of thing. I can't overstate how much work and time it required of the entire team to make this leap, but we strongly feel the end result will be worthwhile and will allow us to continue to develop Distant Worlds 2 for many years to come. So, translation, these guys work night and day. Literally, not an 8-hour shift. They probably got up at like 6, 7 in the morning. Code. Go. Do. And now it's like, well, it's 2 a.m. now. Let me get me a few hours of sleep. Wake up at 5. Continue. The second main goal relates to the interface. In making the big jump to a new and modern engine, we knew we could address dynamic scalability. But there are also many comments from Distant Worlds Universe players about the original interface being difficult to learn. While it was quite functional once you learned it, the initial learning curve was harder than it should have been, and partly because it evolved over multiple releases. The organization of information in some cases made things quite difficult for players to find. A significant effort was put into redesign of the interface, focused on providing players with easy top-level access to the most significant information, both for better awareness and quicker decision-making. I like that. I like that a lot. The bottom left area remains focused on information about where I lost it. Operating players with the bottom left area remains focused on information about whatever the player has selected, but the selection menus and buttons themselves have been reorganized, as well as additional information added where it previously required diving into other menus and dialogues. The bottom middle now has a dynamic summary where the system level voice significant objects within the player's current location. Okay. Wow. I love that you can see planets at many different angles. That is huge. It's going to be a lot of eye candy. I don't want to click on the screenshot. I just want to kind of zoom in. And thankfully, macOS you can. I'm going to get a whole bunch of comments from Windows people now. All right, cool. I hope I don't get bombarded, though, with notifications. The top left now has a series of major headings in order from left to right: empire, summary, diplomacy, colonies, exploration, resource, construction, research, military, and civilian. So that's all that. When players hovers the mouse over any of these, a summary of key metrics in that area is shown. That's cool. Moving the mouse down to summary expands the menu further, allowing any of the series submenus to be chosen that provide more information or detail. Moving the mouse off this area collapses them back to the top, but clicking anywhere in those menus locks them open for ongoing interaction. Another click on the top unlocks them. Cool. You can see they put a lot of work into this. Like, they literally probably sat together and like, hey, how should we do this? You know, like, how do we move the mouse over? Like, what happens? Top right has a few basic piece of summary information. Your current research projects. Ooh, that's a lot of research projects. Oh, that's messages. Your current research projects, number of colonies, population, surplus, income and cash flow, and game date and speed. Click on any of these also jumps to relevant dialogue to manage them in more detail. Below the speed controls are the victory conditions, game options, and message log. The message log has had filters added and can be opened at any time to review old messages. Current messages appear on the right-hand side below the log. When they first appeared, they are briefly expanded at first to allow the player at a glance to get a sense of what they were about. I like that. That's awesome. That is really awesome. That's something, you know, like I could use in like messaging apps too. Then collapse back to a smaller color-coded message category icon. That's awesome. Depending on the player's chosen options, this many include advisor messages as well as other notifications or warnings. If ignored, the vast majority of auto expire after a delay. A small line under the message icon shrinks as the message expires. Cool. And go to message log. Hovering the mouse over a message allows a quick glance as it expanded form. Wow. Dang. I don't even know AAA titles that do all this. A single left click on the message will open and lock it so that any actions related to it may be decided on. A double left click will go to the message location. That's cool. A single right click will immediately dismiss the message. Jeez, they really thought about this stuff, man. That's where you can see the passion. That's what I love. Third goal was to make it easier for players to gain information at a glance from the map. Part of it involved connecting the user interface to the map more directly. For example, when you have a dialogue open on the top left and are reviewing your colonies or exploration ships or fleets or even a filtered list of freighters currently transporting Hexadrome, relevant items will also be highlighted on the map and will ping as your mouse over them so that you can more quickly and easily see where everything is. It also means that we added planetary and system badges, which provide a summary of key assets, resource capabilities at a given location. These have a planetary version and a galactic version depending on how zoomed in you are. That is a key thing right there. Right there. Depending on how zoomed in you are. Which basically means this is Google Maps. So you can like zoom in all the way here, right? Like, you know, all the way here, or you can zoom, I don't know, way out to like that, which is gonna be crazy. It's gonna be cray-cray. Okay, that is going to be insane. And for you people that have high-end GPUs, you know who I'm talking about. Yes, you. I'm kind of envious. Used with like the 3080s, 3090s, AMD 7000 series. Be sure to put it on 4K and let us kind of like, live through you. Man, those GPUs are expensive, man, like $1,000. All right, where do we go? There's also additional information when you mouse over location or objects. In the view above, you can see that for the planet and the moon on the right side of the system, I have found 2 ruins that are not yet fully explored. I also know 2 available resources that could be mined, and the exploration indicator in yellow is telling me the current exploration level, and that exploration there is not yet completed. The middle planetary group just has 4 resources. The middle left has a star showing that it's our capital planet, what its population is, what its happiness is, that it has the capability for construction, both due to the planet and the spaceport, and that it is a location that can refuel ships. Wow. Under that, it shows an explored ruin, the various explored resources, and that we have 100 troop strength there. Wow. Jeez, man. That's freaking ridiculous. Finally, in order to allow you to play the game your way, we add a lot of policy, automation, and advisor settings and group them all together in one convenient location to allow you to automate the parts you don't want to deal with. Turn on 2 different levels of advisors for areas you like to supervise, or set them to full manual control when you really want to dive in. This level of automation extends down from the top level to being able to automate or manual control planets, fleets, or even individual state ships. I hope this review of our goals in improving the engine and our user interface helped you see how far we come from Distant World's universe. Yeah. I'll be back in a couple of weeks with a new developer diary for y'all. I don't know what to say, to be honest, guys. I really don't know what to say. I just don't know what to say. This game, I like Stellaris. Stellaris is fun. I probably put in like 300 hours in Stellaris. But this feels like Stellaris on steroids. This feels like Stellaris is like a 5, and this is like a 10 in terms of complexity and depth. But based upon what I'm reading here, even playing at that 10 level complexity and depth, by turning on these advisors, you can play at like, more of a like a Stellaris kind of level, but then also kind of dive deep where you want to dive deep in. So if you want to just kind of control your core capital system and just, all right, my advisors, you do everything else. I'm just going to focus on this system and my fleet. You can do that. And that's freaking awesome. That is freaking awesome. Wow. And then not only that, plus being able to zoom in and out with this thing, that's going to be insane. Yeah, this is going to be insane. Before we close this out, I want to see the feature requirements. Now, I have like a mid-range graphics card. It's a AMD 570X, which is very capable. So I'm sure that, I'll be able to play it. Yeah, definitely. So 760. Mine's the equivalent of like a 10 series. So I could definitely play it. I might not get like all the juicy graphics that, like maxed out graphics that, the 3090 players and the AMD 7000 series players have, but be good enough for me, right? Wow. That is beautiful. I mean, it's just gorgeous. Wow. All right, guys. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that. I did. I cannot wait to just sink my teeth in. And they're in beta. So now that they're in beta that it's going to come this year or possibly early next year. So it's going to be good to go. It's going to be really good to go. All right, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed this. Catch you in the next one. See you then.